ladies and gentlemen, it's another episode of Friday Night Live. I've got Sean, I've got Mark, and myself, Kesh, the regular culprits of Friday Night Live. This time no one is missing, but do you know what is missing? Our official location. Normally we record at every Friday at Bella Vista Hotel. Unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties, we've had to change our location. So hopefully you would have to bear with us for a couple of weeks till we figure out a solution, but enjoy this episode. So guys, today I have a very interesting episode. We've talked a lot about LVRs and leverage and property and mindset. Do you know what's been bothering me personally? I feel like there's a huge era of freemium stuff. People love free shit and they want everything for free. Now, don't get me wrong, I love free stuff.
Yep.
Who doesn't? A little swag bag goes a long way. I completely get it. But the problem with free stuff is I can see a whole generation of people, a whole sector of people just expect to get free stuff without paying anything for it, which is now in turn not working in their favor because they don't value anything. People don't value anything anymore, and I can see we are getting into an era of people just complaining about stuff all the time.
Absolutely. And you know how you're talking about people not valuing things, right? If you really want to know how to make the most of something, just watch your family sign up to Netflix for a free month, watch them watch everything under the sun, and then cop out when it's time to pay.
It is actually true.
And when your subscription runs out, you get your dog's email address and you go again, right?
But do you know what the silly part is? People think they're being extra smart. And maybe that's how they value the time. If you told me to spend 2 hours every month creating new email addresses to create a new Netflix account, those 2 hours of my time ain't worth saving whatever Netflix costs, $20.
Absolutely. People lose sight of value. You're right.
It is just really confusing. So, I've got a few things that people get stuff for free. Okay, so let's talk about a few things and few places that people get stuff for free. So YouTube, people get stuff for free. They're informative webinars where people get stuff for free, and Google forums or whatever, online forums. Now the challenge with free stuff, and I'm just taking you guys back here. Do you guys remember the whole issue with the Facebook and Zucks and Sundar Pichai? All of these guys were called in by Congress saying what's happening with people's data.
Right.
Do you remember that?
Yes, absolutely.
And there was a whole thing about, and I know there's going to be some commentator over there going crazy about, free internet should be free. Right? Which I agree. Internet should be free. Information should be free. Information is power. But my challenge with that model is it is inevitable that these businesses such as Google, such as Facebook, such as any YouTube video, even this, we are taking time out of our day to create information, and there's a lot of work that goes behind. So just doing this basic setup today, we've had 4 people leave what they were doing to producer Ryan to set up here, the camera for us to find a second location, all of this, all of us sitting here, we're putting in a lot of effort, and people need to get paid. Reason people need to get paid, I'm not talking about getting Lambos and this and that, to look after their families, pay bills, right? So when the whole Facebook saga happened, the Google saga happened, the privacy saga happened, people were very upset about their data being used.
Yeah.
But my question to these people was this: if you really enjoyed the services that Google and Facebook provide to you, why weren't you willing to pay? Why didn't people who've got power, turn around and say, hey Facebook, how about you stop using our data and I will pay $19.95 a month for your services? That would put Facebook on notice, because then they have no reason for them to sell your data. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I just feel like free information almost in an era where it's doing people a disservice in a way, in 2 ways. One, people don't value anything. So Sean could sit here, and if you've listened to any of our podcasts, and this is not me beating our chest in any way, shape or form, there are hundreds of creators out there who are doing amazing stuff, are putting in their heart and soul. People listen to this podcast, or people listen to, have you ever gone on YouTube and read the synopsis of a book? Someone's gone through the effort
Absolutely.
to summarize a book, just saving you hours and hours.
Speaking of a book, I was reading this book the other night, and it had a very interesting saying, almost along the lines of what you're talking about. The average Weekly Times 1 edition has more information in it than an Englishman would have learnt in his whole lifetime in the 18th century.
Wow.
One magazine.
Wow.
And what are people doing today different to what that Englishman was doing in the 18th century? Nothing.
And that's where I was going with it. So all of this free information is making people go really lazy, which is not in their best favor. So Sean, let me give you a very good example. Often online, you would see businesses will give you a free webinar or a free workbook or a ebook or whatever they're called, explaining a concept.
So they can just reel you in and sell ya.
But that's what people think. That's what people think, right? That they want something out of me, and so on and so forth.
Yep.
The reality is they do. What do you want out of them?
Correct.
The question is not how you're making money off me. The question is, how can I make money from you? What information can I get access to in the shortest period of time that is tailored to my circumstances that I can go out there and action? Now, people not valuing stuff is creating lazy people, which is making them sleep on an opportunity. So let me give you an example. Let's say you, Mark, you wanted to know what is the outcome of these interest rates, and maybe a broker CBA has a free ebook that you download. I can guarantee you one thing, and you, the audience, vouch for this. If I've been guilty of it. You'll download that ebook, put it in some folder in your downloads. If you're organized, otherwise it'll be in your downloads, and you will say, "I'm going to come back to this," and you never come back to it.
Every time.
And same. And we've become hoarders of information, whether that's relevant to us or not, and we never take action on it. And what just Sean said is true.
Even what you've just said there is exactly what I was thinking just then. Is in today's society, it's no different to what it was 30, 40, 50 years ago by being a hoarder. Back then, we were hoarding car parts, people still do that, they hoard stuff, physical items. Nowadays, people are, let's say, hoarding
digital stuff.
Loading their cloud up with stuff that they're never going to apply, right? And we see that all the time. And I think as well, it's just to give them that self-satisfaction. I could be wrong, but I feel like it gives someone self-satisfaction to say, I have the power, but I'm not going to do anything with it.
But have you guys ever felt when you've cleaned up, be honest, because everyone here is really busy in their day-to-day life, have you ever felt a physical change in your physiology when you have cleaned up your desktop?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So,
Declutter.
So decluttering was news to me when Kesh was helping me last year. He introduced me to a very simple formula called stacks. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
So I used up my whole desktop, and because I don't have one desktop, I have about five desktops.
50.
They were all full.
We got to shoot one.
And they weren't full by documents on them. They were full with doubled up documents on them. Because everything just got decluttered. And then stacks put everything in its place.
It's like this, right?
And it made you feel good.
So that is a desktop.
Which used to be mine.
Yes.
And I used to have clients who used to offer to help me to clear it up for me. I'm not joking, you know who you are.
And then you use stacks. And it all goes back to
beautiful.
where it should be.
So you see that uplift of feeling better?
Yes.
When you're not seeing things that are cluttering? That means imagine how much digital backlog you have in your mind going, I know I have to increase my iCloud storage, I'll just keep jamming it up there now. Or I know I have to segregate my files, I'll do it later. But you never ever do it. You end up buying a new laptop and forgetting about the old one, which is what I did.
You sometimes want to buy a new laptop because it's just too hard.
Exactly.
But I actually segueing for that. I know someone who's got this. They got a membership. I don't know if it's still there. An Audible membership where they get a free book a month. And that's all they use. So anyway, this person was talking to me. I don't want to name who this was, and they were like, since last year I've read 24, 30 books. Blah 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 blah.
You can say his name. It was Ken Dog. Let's be honest.
Let's say it was someone like Ken Dog. So let's just say this person has read. And we are very big on PD. Like personal development is the core here at JR. That if you can't develop yourself, you can't help anyone else. And so I said to him, I said, great. So what were your learnings? And he knew everything, every quote, Tony Robbins, blah blah blah, everything.
Wow.
Everything there is to know. Like if everything there is to know about self-development, 8 ways to be motivated, 10 ways to be this, whatever it is, right? So I asked him a very simple question. I said, mate, this is incredible. I struggle sometimes to get through 2 books in a quarter. And I love getting through this sort of stuff. And He goes, really? I just smashed it out in the car. And I said, okay, so how's your life changed? Like,
Yeah.
you know, it must be incredible now. Like, you must be living. He goes, no, why would that happen? And I go, but what was the reason for? No, but I need to read 20 books. Someone on YouTube told me I got to read 20 books and I'll be a millionaire. I'm like, mate, I'd rather you read half a book and apply 100% of that.
Wow.
But this is the problem with knowledge without application. It goes back to what we speak about all the time.
Every day. Every
Like,
single day.
what was the point of going through 35 books? And I go, I was very interested in that conversation. And I go, because anytime we read stuff, and no one's perfect, I try my hardest to see if I can apply this in my own life within my circumstances and see how I can tailor something. And I have seen for a fact, even if you can take a few things out of these very nice books, it could be life-changing.
I think as well, people don't realise is that, let's say you read a book and it's specific to something, a topic in relation to personal development, you don't necessarily have to apply it then and there straight away. Some people do, some books are made for that, so on, but some books help you, and I speak from experience, they help you realise or become self-aware when a certain situation pops
Absolutely.
up. And you go, okay, the old me would have handled it X, Y, Z, but
Exactly.
now I know how to handle it differently.
That's a very, very interesting way you put it. It's about making you self-aware when the situation arises. That's
Correct.
a successful takeaway from a book, I think. Very well put.
My favorite one, at least relevant to our industry, is when I have this combination. My favorite book is Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then they'll go Think and Grow Rich, and then they'll go Richest Man in Babylon, and I go, you've got mindset, right? So how many properties do you have? None. Where's your money sitting in your savings account? And I go, what did you learn from these books?
Yeah.
That the only thing they took away from this book is you got to have a budget. I'm like, what happened to the other bit?
Yeah.
And that budget's even not a physical one, it's a mental one.
It really is. And I really feel that people have stopped valuing things. Now, segueing from that, from the value bit, I just took a few notes there. I've started to find out, and this is something that has been bothering me, at least for the last 3 months, that consciously has been bothering me.
We have to fix it for you now.
We do. And I found a commonality. And I'm no psych major here, and I've not done some big ABS study, if you will. But often with people like this, I've had conversations around, because any business today, any industry today, even the government today, is based on information-based selling.
Yep.
Today, whether you want to select Scott Morrison or someone else as your next prime minister or whatever Labour Party, they drop facts on you, and they give you, I have done this compared to that. I have done this compared to that. Click below and buy me as your next leader.
Right.
Right? So now we've gone from a factor. There used to be a time where there used to be buy 2 t-shirts and get 1 free. Now it's about how you make a t-shirt. Let me show you how we make t-shirts and how our t-shirt can change your life. So it's value-based selling.
Correct.
So people's definition of sales or selling is very wrong, but that's a whole different conversation. But selling is basically telling someone, I want to buy a car. Why should I buy from Castle Hill Mercedes and not Shaw Mercedes? A G-Wagon is a G-Wagon, right? What is that extra?
You're so right. This is such an amazing topic, right, Kesh? We were having a conversation about nice watches the other night.
Yes.
And we all love our watches. We all have, plans of growing the collection. A lot of people in the office love watches here. And we were looking at this.
We love our time.
We value our time, literally and metaphorically. So the good thing is, there's this really nice website or marketplace where people can go to buy luxury watches. Everyone knows it's called Chrono24, right?
Sponsor us.
And from a real literal perspective, you are saving a little bit of money when you buy direct from the dealers as opposed to purchasing from via Chrono24.
Yeah.
But the conclusion we reached after our very brief conversation was, we'll still buy through Chrono24 because you get a trusted checkout. You get your money sitting in escrow. You know no one can screw you because you will be protected. And then I started thinking of Chrono24 as the JR brand, because JR keeps you as a buyer safe. It doesn't let you get into hot water. It doesn't let you get into trouble, right? Same way. It's like having that trusted
access to network, tailored to your situation,
safety,
protected. It's like I tell people, you work with me. It's like going bowling with the gutters up.
Exactly.
You ought to hit something.
You're bound to hit something. Yeah,
it is true.
But that's literally leading into what we were talking about as well, because we value security. We value. It's like paying insurance, right? So if you know you're going to live out in Richmond and you decide not to pay insurance, yeah, you'll be happy because you saved 10 grand maybe a year, but you won't be happy when you have to spend 400 grand, 500 grand to rebuild your whole house after 5 years, which we know has been quite common now. So
it is.
yeah,
It is.
Back to you.
And so this is the commonality that I found. Okay, so people who don't value things and take things for granted. So for example, in our scenario, sometimes we would go out of our way. I've seen Sean, yourself, me do a 6 a.m., 7 a.m. meeting or a 10 p.m. meeting with someone. And either they're showing up late or, they're just half-assing the meeting, if you will. And which I personally find is quite disrespectful because we are taking time out from our family, our leisure time or whatever it is to spend that time with you. Now, often I used to get annoyed with this sort of situation, but I really realized I found a pattern. Often people who want free shit don't value their own time and money. They do not value. These are the guys who would, to buy a cucumber from a veggie market, would spend $20 on fuel, but would not spend $2.80 at Woolies.
Yes.
They think I'm going to waste half my day to save 30 cents on a cucumber, but I can just go to Woolies. They don't value their time.
It's like people buying fuel from a place that's 20 kilometers away from them because the fuel's cheap. You've lost time, which isn't, you're not valuing
never
it,
buy
first
back.
of all.
You can never
get that back. Plus, you're saving a little bit, but you've wasted the fuel going there and back anyway. So, we've had a lot of clients. I've seen it visually in some family friend circles as well. Someone will be browsing a laptop for sale online, and they'll look at JB Hi-Fi, they'll look at Officeworks, and this is a laptop. So the guy who's doing the browsing earns $280,000 a year. That's his annual salary. And he starts his browsing on Friday saying, I need this laptop. So he finds the same laptop on JB, compares it at Officeworks, compares it at Harvey Norman. On Saturday, he compares it with a few global retailers. On Sunday, he's done a big analysis. And then on Monday, he puts the order in. So I've asked this guy. Guess what?
50 laptops. Please tell me he was getting 50 laptops for his office.
So here's the best part. He was just buying a laptop for himself. And because
just put me out of my misery.
And here's the best part. So the spread of laptops was really thin, where everything was priced quite close to each other. But he did save $145. He saved $145 on a $2,000 laptop. He saved $145. Great, good props. I asked him, how much time did you spend overall with your weekend researching project and your comparisons? He goes, just probably about maybe 3 hours. Great. I said, how much do you earn per hour? That's when he got the idea. So by doing research to save $145, he was doing a disservice to himself. But you know what, Kesh? Some people from some minorities or some groups get off on this stuff. They get turned on by the fact that's going, I bought these shoes for 5 cents. Check it out. They love that feeling. Because I don't know what it is about the generation that's preceded us, but it might be something where they enjoy a bargain. I don't know if you guys know this, but there are people out there that enjoy bargains. And they invite their mates to come out with them to go for bargain hunting. It is a thing. So I don't know whether that...
Gary V, bro, with his garage sale.
Oh my God, Gary V.
Spend your Sunday trying to flip a, I don't know, little... coffee mug.
If you really want to learn about Gary V, click the link below, become a member, and I will tell you all about it. No hiding, no nothing.
Okay, the second problem
Gary's my favorite entrepreneur.
The second problem I had was not people not just valuing their own time, but not valuing other people's time. Okay, and the commonalities, these people are never going to do anything because they're never going to apply anything. The second thing I see with these people is how naive society is. So I was speaking the other day to a builder, and I said to him, mate, look, in the building industry, there's something called a tender sit down. So when you go and yes, so someone who's gone, some of you who have built houses
Same reaction.
would know. You go through a tender sit down, and usually what happens in the tender sit down is they take you through your inclusions. And they give you, a list of things that they're going to do for you, blah, blah, blah. And usually how builders work is in the retail space, of course, their idea is to advertise the cheapest price possible, get a client to come to their display home or for a tender meeting, get them to sign contractually on an agreed price, and then upsell them from there, or give them a tender price and some things are still left open so they can upsell them by 3 grand, 5 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand sometimes at different things. So
absolutely,
we'll do a whole episode on that. So if you want to know that, let us know in the comments of how builders work, and you want to know behind the scenes, let us know. Sean's really an expert at it. We can get a few more people from the building team to come and have a chat. But anyway, right? So I said to him, I said, why does that happen? He goes, mate, look, the reality is when someone comes to us and everyone's lot size and council requirements and land requirements might be slightly different. So we have a generic template that we have to work off, and only after we win their business can we afford to work on that project. And I said, what do you mean, you're a builder? He goes, mate, no, I know we're a builder, but then every time we got to get soil testing done, we got to get engineering plans drawn out, we got to sit down and look at the design guidelines for the master plan or the DCP requirements for the local council. So he goes, for a builder, cost to cost, it'll cost us anywhere between 1,500 to 5 grand just to do the initial works, depending on what stage and what level of stuff you're doing. So he says, because that first meeting is free, we don't want to spend any money at it. So I said, so you're basically, because it's a free meeting and I don't need to commit to anything, you're giving me a half-baked solution, which I'm signing and then opening up to a lot of things. He goes, unfortunately, that's the way. I said, how do I turn this? He said, mate, if someone was to turn around and said, hey, look, I want to have a property sit with you and I want to go through a building tender and I will pay you upfront, non-refundable, $2,500 for this meeting. He says the client experience will be very different, because then the builder is tempted and is willing to put in that extra work because they know that the client is committed and they won't get shocked. Now, in the building industry, often what people don't realize is, mate, we're putting a whole house together. You're coordinating. There's a lot of work. It's not going to Big W and buying a Lego set and playing with your kid on Sunday. It doesn't work like that, right? And he goes, people don't value that, and often with smaller no-name builders and dodgy guys who are going bust now.
Absolutely.
God bless their soul. It was high time. People who shop us and we just can't deliver. And I go, why don't you just openly say to a client that this is not? He says, because they'll go to someone else and we tend to lose business and we can't cover overheads. So what I realized there was in that situation, if you just were upfront with the guy and said, listen, man, this is what I want. I've done my research. These are the 3 people I want. I'm building it's a $500,000 $1 million commitment. If I have to spend 2 grand across 3 builders and do sits, for example, and get the best result, wouldn't that be a better outcome? But people don't, and that's what I'm saying. All free shit will bite you in the bum one way or the other. It really does. And
it goes back to the saying, right? There's no free lunches in the world.
They aren't, Sean.
Yeah.
They really, really aren't. And in this industry, and I feel even with us doing YouTube and doing all of this, of course we want to educate people, but we're running a business here.
We'll go back to, let's say, I don't know, pre-2000. Where did you get your information, your value? If you wanted to become a property developer, you can go online and go on a million different webinars.
Forget about 2001 and before Y2K.
Yeah.
Even if you go back like just 10 years, right? 2012. If you really wanted to research the best way to become a developer, how many courses were there? None. Like very few. How many books were there on property development? Does everyone heard of Jim Castagnet?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
He was like the only one 10 years ago who had a little bit of presence where there was this one development workshop. You could sign up to it and go and meet people, but it was people that was giving you your knowledge. Today, everyone's hiding behind their little life box screen 100%. And messaging people, and even that's half-assed, I would say.
Right, but I really, really feel this freemium model is something, for me personally, I'm one of those crazy people, bro. I've got YouTube Red. I can't stand to watch an ad. Like,
and
I'll pay $20 from my YouTube.
After I got YouTube Red, we say YouTube Red, it reminds me of other stuff. But YouTube Premium.
What is it called?
It's YouTube Premium. It used to be YouTube Red like 10 years ago.
So imagine I am like OG.
You're the OG
subscriber.
You are the official subscriber.
I live by what I say.
And you know what? I started thinking about it. I used to scrimp out a lot.
Oh yeah. Now I know where you're going with this. Yes.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes,
So I used to
understood.
scrimp out a lot personally because I like obtaining a mentality of keeping it, clean and not having too many subscriptions running at once. But my quality of life has improved to the point where I play a video in the car and I have to switch my phone off and it still plays in the background without
I love
anything.
it.
And it puts a very neat half smile on my face.
It does.
And I think that's worth it.
It is.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Do you know? I'll tell you something. Producer Ryan, there'll be some guy on Android. We're gonna come back and talk about this guy on Android. We don't have to. We're still fine. We got 5 minutes before we take.
No,
the
we don't
subscription.
have 5 minutes. We only have like 2.5.
So, mate, a guy on
Android.
Android will basically say, you know what? You can sideload this app, and it'll give you free YouTube without paying for anything. And then
The-
they got,
oh, the
then they got
jailbreak
your
one.
nasty photos. They've hacked into your phone, mate.
Absolutely,
Like, it's just,
absolutely.
They will make you pay in one way, shape, or form.
So when I was really young, I used to, I don't know if I should say this.
Okay, we'll hold the story of when Sean was really young. Guys, it is that one, literally 30 seconds. Please hit the subscribe button. Please leave us a comment. Let us know what you want to hear. And when we come back, Sean is going to tell us, or not tell us, when he was young. Welcome back from the subscription break. We have decided Sean is going to be not disclosing the story because I don't think it is podcast friendly. If you'd like to know, come and talk to us.
Sign up on the link below.
We'll start Sean, only Sean's page. And only
Shawnlee fans.
Seanly fans.
I like that.
Like that.
Surely
Like
fans.
that.
I like
Anyway, coming back to valuing things, right? So, the big problem today, and the whole idea of today's podcast, and the message that we wanted to give people is, what is most important to you? Right? What is most important to you? And Sean's laughing, but it's true.
No, I was laughing because I was enjoying our conversations during the subscription break.
Yeah.
And I feel we need to have a separate part of this podcast to inspire people on a different train of thought.
We do.
Which can be found on YouTube Red.
That's on YouTube Red.
Hey, YouTube Premium was called YouTube Red.
You're
when it
right,
started.
you're right, you're right.
I'm OG with this stuff.
Oh, you are.
I'm OG with this
You
stuff.
have everything. I think you have Apple paid, Apple
Everything.
TV.
Everything.
You have Stan,
I've got the whole full fat.
Netflix,
Everything. Binge.
Prime Video,
Binge. Prime.
Binge, Kayo.
But I don't have Foxtel. KO.
Why do you need Foxtel after you
I
have
don't-
everything else?
I refuse to watch ads. I know what I want to buy.
The tech guru of the company.
He's the tech guru of the company. He brought in an iPad frenzy, which meant we had to deploy some cash to get an extra iPad for the team.
Yes. Yes.
And
Tools of the trade.
Tools of the trade.
tools of trade. Anyway, as you were saying about value.
Wait till producer Ryan and I have my way, man. This podcast, the production will look like a Netflix original, Pablo Escobar level. Narcos.
I think we should come up with our own Netflix original and just call it like something about what we do. It could be land or it could be chaos, whatever it is, the title. But we need to have it rolling so that people can see the inner worlds of investment deal brokers.
Absolutely.
Oh, that would be sick. It'll be better
Everything.
than Lux listing, I promise you.
It will be because it won't be fake acting as well.
Yeah.
It'll be
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, no, true. Coming back to this because we want to do a quick one with the value thing. Look, the biggest challenge I see with people looking at free stuff and wanting free stuff is they're doing themselves a massive disservice. They're wasting their time. They're going to get partial information, and even if you get full information, like Sean was just talking about developer videos or property investing videos or how to fix a car, whatever it might be, right? If you do not apply that, and if you do not know how to apply that information to your personal circumstances, that is a challenge, because information for information's sake is the most useless thing. So say, for example, for the guys who study investment banking, why don't they straight jump out of uni and start a family office and start raising billions of dollars? Why do they go get a $60,000 job at a bank pushing paper, right?
Experience.
Because the idea of actually being an investment banker, structuring deals, takes a whole different skill set. So if you think you're going to watch a YouTube video, you're going to, I don't know, download an ebook or something, and tomorrow you're going to be a multi-millionaire, it's not going to happen. Even if you apply it, it will not be applicable to your personal circumstances. So often I feel what people should really start doing is valuing their time. And Sean, let me ask you a very quick question. Now, someone like yourself, you're someone who really believes in mentors and support, like having the right people around you, your circle of influence, so on and so forth. If you had to go jump today say we were to skip doing what we do, and you wanted to start, I don't know, start an airline.
Yep.
What do you think is better value? To go speak to an ex-CEO who's run a very successful airline company and paying them $200,000 and working with them hands-on as a consultant to put it together? Or do you think you should go to school and do an MBA and then work as, you know, someone who sells tickets or whatever they call it, whatever they call, maybe work at, you know, flight center after doing your MBA? And do you think will that be enough for you to start an airline tomorrow?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Exactly.
I think you have to do the whole speak to someone who's got experience, or opt to work for free for someone who's already doing a great job, and learn the ropes, learn the groundwork.
Even with property development or even buying investment properties, like me, myself, you guys, Sean himself, Mark, you yourself, it takes minimum between 60 to 80 hours to research a suburb. A suburb. Sydney alone has 700 plus suburbs. How am I supposed to know, based on my situation, do I need a gold property, check property, deleverage property? What should be my LVR? How am I going to buy the next one? What are my non-cash deductions, cash deductions? What happens if delays and valuation challenges happen? There's so many things that are moving parts. Who should be my building partner? Who should be my finance partner? Should I go interest only or principal and interest?
So there's so many elements. And the thing is, if you're a professional in this league, and if you have clocked your 10,000 hours that a master would do, you have all the good things about it, you have all the bad things about it, condensed into yourself. So if someone's coming to work with you, someone might have read an article, someone might have watched a YouTube video, and then they start talking about those things. There is a giant hidden world that people still don't know. And that's why working with a professional, paying fees, gets you the results that you actually want. It does keep you safe as well.
Sometimes the GPs who are bulk billing, I'm like wary. I'm like, bro, you're going to be in and out with me in 10 minutes because you're just trying to look for the... Again, this is not like... I'm not bashing doctors here, but anyone who's bulk billing, their idea of the business is how many patients can I have in and out as quickly as possible to turn it around.
And for some reason, they still spend so long in that bloody room. We were speaking about this recently, right? Was it on a podcast, or was it just the three of us? Personal.
So I rather... You know what I mean? It's about your health. Like, why are you so cheap to pay $30?
Well, I think if you look back, say 5 years ago, and we'll use a buyer's agent model as an example, since we know it really well.
We have a really great buyer's agent on our books, by the way.
Yes,
we do.
So we can help.
Yeah, down here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if we look back to, let's say, 2017, 2016, and you presented the buyer's agent model, which many people have been doing since then, if not a lot longer, it wasn't as well received because the majority of people said, well, I can go online, or I can speak to an agent and I can negotiate on my behalf, and so on and so forth. But then over time, let's say in the last 2 years, or at least a year now, let's say, everyone's been extremely time poor because we've taken a lot more of our life online, as an example, which means our days are now not 8-hour days, they're 10-hour days, right? For the average, let's say, Sydney sider, right, as an employee. Now, if you've got a family, which majority of our clients do, what time do you have to really put towards, let's say, your next investment, as an example, but then dealing with the competition that all of us have been dealing with over the last 18 months? It's no longer about, I don't want to pay you because I can do it myself. It's people are finally starting to recognize that, you know what,
I can't do it myself.
How long have they had buyer's agents for in New York?
All the time. And this leads me into something really amazing, right? It's almost like what's the word for it?
Preach.
Like an epiphany, right?
Yeah.
So, we're in the preaching outfits today. So, the epiphany I've received is, let's ask the audience this question as well. You both know the answer already to this. Who's more likely to use a buyer's agent? A family earning upwards of $200,000 or a family earning below $200,000?
Upwards of $200,000.
Upwards of $200,000, right? Now, I'll tell you this amazing thing. Even if you ask clients this question, they'll get the answer right. Now, why is it more likely for families earning upwards of $200,000 to use a buyer's agent as opposed to another family earning below not to use it?
May I answer that in two parts?
Yeah, as many parts as you like, babe.
Now, the reason, this is my perspective, people who make less money often think cutting corners is going to get them ahead, which actually bites them in the ass. In fact, I would say if you earn more than $200,000 and you went horribly wrong on a property, you might be better off than the person who's earning less. Should definitely use the expert because they can't afford that mistake.
Agreed.
Afford that mistake, absolutely.
Spot on.
But Sean, speaking of buyer's agents, like, because we're from this industry, even a buyer's agent is enough. And giving Lux Listings episodes. So if you understand what a buyer's agent really does, a buyer's agent is that stage of your investing that you know exactly what you want.
Yeah, and you mentioned Lux Listings as well. Like the way they've done the show is so beautiful and picturesque. But for a moment in your heart, don't ever think that Simon's life is cruising around in a Porsche. Hey, how you going? Yeah, sure. 10 mil. It's not like that. There's a lot of work behind the scenes.
Simon would have that accent if he came on camera. I'll tell you that.
There's a lot of work behind the scenes that people don't know, but it's like glamorizing. It's like there was a surge. This has been proven now. There was a surge of law school applicants after the first season of Suits was watched. Did you know this?
Really?
Yes. Everyone decided they wanted to become a lawyer after Suits came out. This is during the years 2013, 14, and 15.
What happened after Wolf of Wall Street?
Well...
No, we're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into that. That is... But
that's interesting, actually.
Yeah. And they all dropped off, by the way, as well.
So. They would have, because the reality is very different. But even reaching that buyer's agent side of things, often we see is people don't even know what property they need. What property they need. In fact, last week we did a webinar. Ryan put it all together, which is very interesting. And if you haven't watched that, let us know in the comments. We'll send you a copy. Not because it's my webinar. In fact, I had an epiphany doing the webinar. Was the ideal strategy for anyone today, and if you really value yourself and you value every decision you make, is to people make it very complicated. There are a lot of these clowns out there advertising zero tax and I'll buy 50 properties in 2 years and all of this sort of rubbish, right? But the reality is, for most people, if you can improve the money you retain between what you earn between Monday to Friday, you'll be much, much better off. So Sean, think about this. If you earn, say, circa 100 to 150K, you're on that 30% plus tax bracket. So if Monday's 20% of my income, Tuesday's 20%, Wednesday's 20, Thursday's 20, Friday's 20, 100% of my income. And if I have to pay 30% in tax, so all of Monday I went to work, I paid the ATO. Half of Tuesday I went to work, I paid the ATO. Leftover Tuesday, the 10%, that goes to super fund where I have no control. Someone else is controlling my money, right? I can choose out of 20 or 30 or 50 or how many ever there are now. Wednesday and Thursday for most people in Sydney, the average property price is today $1.4 million. And most people here have a mortgage between $750,000 to $1.1 million at minimum. Usually sitting around that $850 to $960 if you've recently purchased. In the more emerging land market areas, closer to the city or inner west would be slightly more than that. So Wednesday and Thursday's income goes into paying off your mortgage, which is non-tax effective debt. And then the rest of Thursday, if you're left over with anything, is bills. So people like me with million subscriptions, because I want my data with me, not with anyone else. And if you're lucky, you'll just about save Friday. But this is not just 1 year, Sean and Mark. This is 30 years of your life. So imagine for 30 years of your life, all you're able to retain is 5 to maybe 7% of your actual earned income. So you might sit there and think, I'm making $1,000 a day. But after you've paid the ATO, you've paid super, you've paid the bank, you've paid everyone, what are you really left with? And for me, before you buy property, before you do anything, even with our clients when we sit down with them, often people make it about, how can I buy 10 properties? I'm like, what do you need 10 what is your end goal? Do you want passive income? What is your end goal? And they often say, no, but I've seen online people buy 50 properties in 2 years. I go, sure you can. Do you make $1.3 million a year? Have you heard of servicing? Servicing is your best friend. Right? And they go, but I want to do this. I'm like, all right, make another $1 million next year. They're like, oh, I can't. So the perfect structure for someone, even before you get to a buyer's agent, or if you really value yourself, and I can only talk for real estate in this circumstance, stop going and getting this guys who are using $5,000 courses to teach you how to be a millionaire. Dude, the only person who's becoming a millionaire is the guy selling the $5,000 course.
Yeah. Right. And the important thing is he didn't use the course to become a millionaire too. No. He used the course to... he used the course, back in the day, he pretty much would have put in sweat equity, spent all that time. And I'm not going to badmouth every course out there. There are some courses that actually give you the shortcuts of saying, okay, don't make these mistakes. These are how you avoid certain mistakes.
But Sean, do not think instead of paying $5,000, I'd rather pay $15,000. So $5,000 for the course and $10,000 for the time with that person.
Absolutely.
So I can tailor that. So I've got no problem with a course. I'm like, bro, love it, got it. Can you sit with me and apply it to my circumstances? Right. Because I don't want to waste 6, 8, 20, 15 years of my life just messing about. Because if Sean teaches me, mate, 10 ways to grow a business, great, Sean, I really like you. You've got a $3,000 course. What do you charge for your time? Because the course is great. That gave me the introduction, right? Which is perfect. Sometimes you need that. But from there, what's more valuable than the course is actually sitting down with Sean. Because Sean will just break it down for me, and what I would have achieved potentially in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and never achieved it all. Working with someone who's done it themselves or does it every single day will allow you to shorten that time. So even before you go to a buyer's agency, before you go, mate, you want to buy property, just jump on realestate.com. You don't need anyone.
Yep.
Just do that. But do you want to buy property that'll improve your Monday to Friday? Will help you actually create that nest egg? Do you really want to know how to pay off your mortgage in 10 years? Or do you want to watch some schmick guy with his AirPods walking down telling you how to be a millionaire? And this is the problem. People watch this free stuff and say, oh, I'm going to go work with this person because I'm going to get it for free. No, you're going to get a kick up your ass. That's what you're going to get. You pay what you get for. So, ladies and gentlemen, our only message is please beware of pure free information. Even our podcast and what we cover, take it with a grain of salt. Okay? You have to, if you're really serious about your situation, value your own time first. You will value other people's time. Find the right partner for yourself. And what you were saying about the Lux listings, people sitting in Ireland or people sitting here making hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever these guys are buying. Mate, this guy's not a schmuck who's buying a $20-40 million house.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not some guy who just jumped off the street. Even if it's inheritance, they knew how to keep it. Right? Doesn't matter what it is. Why do the top people have the best IT guys, best lawyer, best... I've seen
best advisors.
You were telling me the other day, these executive assistants, this admin work, they're making more money than freaking 120, 160 for CEOs, because the level of stuff they know and the level they execute at is completely different.
That's right.
So if you're a professional who's getting paid $1,000 a day and you think you're really good at what you're doing and you value yourself, because your $1,000 a day might mean $20,000 to the company because you bring in that expertise.
Yep.
So let me finish this episode on a story. Okay, so get this. There's a true story. So there was a plane that was grounded because there was an issue. Passengers were shifted to a different plane. And this airline was just recovering from COVID and was very frustrated. There's a true story. The flight engineer is on. Everyone's on. The pilots are off. The owner's flown in. It was a very important flight. It's a brand new plane. They're very frustrated. They're ringing up whichever company they had leased it from, blah, blah, blah. All of this stuff is happening. And this is a chartered plane, private charter, and they take VIPs who have high security requirements. So even switching them from one plane to another is a whole different story. The owner is there, very frustrated. The engineer, now 2 hours have passed, 8 hours have passed, 1 week has passed. So one of the engineers says, hey, look, I know a guy who knows everything about planes, is not an engineer, used to be a pilot, but works as a consultant in Germany, blah, 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 long story, on design and security features of planes. So they rang him up and he said, look, I'm happy to come. You got to wait 4 weeks for me to come. And they said, no, I need you now. So he goes, I'll probably, dude, my normal rate is whatever, $50,000, $60,000. It'll be about 88 or whatever. He invoiced them about 100,000 euros, I think. This was not even dollars. Anyway, they flew him in. He wanted to fly XYZ. They flew him in, blah, blah, blah. He comes around, and this is a true story. And he walks around the plane. No machine. So all these engineers have it plugged up, checking the system. He just walks around the plane, goes to the underbelly of the plane, and he comes back and he's just standing there. And the owner, everyone, whoever's paid that money, is just getting frustrated.
Riled up.
They're like, is this guy a scam? And they're going off at the engineer who recommended him. Anyway, long story short, he goes to the engineer. He gets some device, let's call it a hammer. He walks to the tail part of the plane, gets a stool, knocks something in, tells him to reset a button, and it resets and all the red lights have disappeared. So the CEO tries to nig him on so he's only paid a little bit, and the rest was to be paid at the job being done. Whether the job was done or not didn't matter. So he goes, oh, what is this? Flying you here costed me 25 grand. I'm not going to pay you this money. It took you 5 minutes. This guy says, do you know what I've sold for you in 5 minutes? So he sold him, that was a $200 million plane that is now going to take off. He goes, what I sold for you took me 28 years of my life to solve in 5 minutes. That's what you're paying me for.
Absolutely.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this is another episode of Friday Night Live. Boom, boom! It's been a pleasure. Value yourself and value others, and make sure, be aware of the information you consume. And whatever you consume, if it makes sense to you, please apply it in your life. Thank you very much. Until next time.